Welcome back to Robot Wars and to our final heat of the series. No beating around the bush this time around. Let's just head down to the Battleboard and see our final heat lineup. Oh, I am looking forward to this, the final heat of Series 3 with 18 seeds Hydra taking on the two newcomers, both Harvester and Force, actually competed in the wildcard special in the last wars. Harvester was the only machine to actually win its wildcard. We also have Supernova with the lethal flywheel against the flipper of Hammerhead 2 and the spinning blade of Rosie the Riveter, back again from the last two wars with Jugglebot and Tricerabot 3, an international affair that fight's gonna be. But first, our second seed runner-up, Angui, taking on veterans Overkill back from Series 1. And the newcomers on the block, Hivemind. Let's get down to business. Let the wars begin! Angui. Flipper. They did absolutely amazingly in the last wars, coming runner-up. The CO2 flipper is very effective, which saw the end of both Silver Space and Earthquake. The drive is also fairly strong too. All eyes on them to go further and take out the trophy as the new champions. But have their weaknesses become too well known at this point? Overkill. Thwackbot. Quite a surprise to see them back again after the first wars. Didn't have the greatest runs as they went out of the arena to spawn again, and then to Exterminator in the Bronze Rumble. The low wedge makes it hard for frontal assaults, and the blade is sharp and can do some fairly decent damage. But the exposed wheels are very exposed, and that will leave them in serious trouble if one is ripped off. Hivemind! Spinner! Terrifying ghoul from outer space with a lethal spinning bar. The front wedge can be switched out for 4 fork wedgelets to help stop machines getting underneath the front, and even if it gets flipped over, the two small arms at the back can help self-right. However, the arms on the side offer a small ground clearance issue and doesn't have the greatest of pushing power.
Roboteers, stand by.
Our runner-up from the last wars, Angui, with the CO2 powered flipper. Overkill, great to see them back again with the wedge and the swinging knife blade. And Hivemind, the new machine, with the self-righting mechanism and the spinning bar.
3, 2, 1, activate.
So, Angui, the first to move, and immediately underneath! Overkill but gets attacked from the rear by Hivemind, and that is a vulnerable area for Angui, the rear. Overkill up and over, Angui underneath the fork configuration of Hivemind to throw them and almost had them out the arena there. Overkill righted, and Angui still being aggressive. Off comes the tire, and off comes the wheel! The wheel of Overkill's gone! And I said that would happen! The exposed tire is the problem, but there goes the whole wheel! And that leaves not just the machine vulnerable, but it leaves the entire mechanism of Overkill in trouble. Ooh, bashed away as well. That's gonna be quite the problem. And off comes the other tire, and now Overkill are completely immobilized. And Hivemind seems completely stuck on Overkill. Angui takes advantage, and off comes a piece of the wedge. Angui throws them and self-rights Hivemind. That's a very good stream mech on Hivemind, it has to be said. Angui, how will they come back? They can get underneath. Ooh. I don't think Overkill will be going back. Well, they can't come back anyways. They are completely immobilized. Flipped again. Hivemind self-rights. Angui trying to use the flipper well and wisely. There is a limited CO2 supply. And what's that on the floor? I think that might be one of Angui's wheels. And that's another one. And that's going to cause a problem. They weren't even up and over there, they still used the Streamac. And that's very well. Can Angui get out of there, wants to get up and over, and self-rights? And I think there's a problem with Angui. The second seeds for the competition, the runners-up of the Last Wars. They're struggling getting out of the corner. And Hive Mind comes in to lend a hand. Is Angui fully okay? I don't think they are. I think they may have lost a couple more wheels, actually. They can't properly get any real perches on the floor. You can see them moving a bit. And that's more than a bit, actually. And flips Hive Mind again, but they self-right and come in on the attack. And I think Angui, because they don't have any tires, they can't get any proper purchase on the floor. And that's giving Hive Mind the major advantage. And Angui, runners-up at the Last Wars, I should remind you, are in serious trouble. Being battered by the new machine. Angui can't get any purchase, they're stuck against the angle grinder. And Angui trying to use their flipper to help get them away as Hive Mind once again comes in. I think Angui at this stage is probably out of CO2, or at least getting very, very low on it. Is Hive Mind okay now? Well, they stuck for a minute. They're free now as Hive Mind comes in on the attack on Angui again. The final minute. I'm not sure if we really need to go to the judges. Technically, there is still a level of mobility, so I guess it could go to the judges, but we wouldn't really need to make a decision as there's no real proper control in Angui. And Hive Mind have done fantastically immobilizing Overkill and have seriously crippled Angui. I don't think Angui has any real control left. If you ask me, I'd say this should be considered game over now. Angui are immobilized. Really, they can't really get away as cease is called, so I'm guessing I am right. And it's Hive Mind going through to the Gold Rumble. And there you have it confirmed. Hive Mind into the Gold Rumble. Angui, they crash out into the Silver Rumble, and Overkill, they fall into the Bronze. Next up, Supernova Hammerhead 2 and Rosie the Riveter. Supernova Spinner. A very lethal flywheel on the Sri Lankan machine that can also run upside down and is also very hard to get upside down. The arrow is also quite tough, so getting through it is going to be quite tricky, but the big exposed wheels are a juicy target for any other spinners, and they will have to protect them if they don't want to go home early. Hammerhead 2 Flipper. The front edge for great pushing power, while the rear tail serves as not only a flipper when right way up, but also a ramming spike when upside down. The two hammers on the side add to the damage factor while also adding to a ground clearance issue, and the exposed wheels don't help that factor either. Rosie the Riveter. Ram Bots. Team Juggerbot's back for a third series with a new machine that's just as fast as Juggerbot and Tricerabot, but probably with a less effective weapon compared to its predecessors. A little circular saw on the front wedge, which doesn't look like it'll have all that much effect on anyone that it comes into contact with, but the drive makes up for that. However, just like its predecessors, it has big exposed wheels which can be taken out by a spinning blade, and it also has a bit of a ground clearance.
Robot ears, stand by.
Supernova, the flywheel from Sri Lanka, the Dutch machine, Hammerhead 2, with the rear flipping tail, and Rosie the Riveter from the United States of America with the spinning blade and wedge, This is an international affair if ever I've seen one.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Of course, the Supernova team are also from England, and I think something serious has happened to Hammerhead 2. Off comes one of the wheels. The tire and the wheel's been taken out, and now Rosa the Riveter slamming into Supernova. Hammerhead 2 trying to move. They cannot move, and now drive into the wall. And I don't think they can get out of there. The pit's gone down. How's the pit gone down? Did something hit it, I wonder? Is everything okay with Rosie the Riveter? Supernova? Is Supernova okay? What on earth has happened here? Supernova's now no longer moving. They're near the pit. Rosie the Riveter gets a burst of energy. A power spurt, if you will. Get off the flames, Rosie. There you go. Jeez. And I think Rosie's just immobilized here. I mean, just mobile. Supernova, they're immobilized. Hammerhead 2 are immobilized. Rosie, I guess, in a way are immobilized, but at the same time mobile. And they're going to be the ones going through to the gold rumble. Supernova, they're in the silver. Hammerhead 2, they're in the bronze. And we're just getting it confirmed now, and there's the confirmation. Rosie the Riveter into the gold, Supernova into the silver, and Hammerhead 2 into the bronze. Next up, Hydra, Harvester, and Forced. Hydra! Flipper! Back again with their flipper and ready to show themselves to be a real contender in this competition. They've never really had the greatest of success in the past, but maybe this series will be different. The weapon is quite effective and the sides are not that easy to get underneath, but there is a limited gas supply and the rear of the machine is their most vulnerable area to attack. Harvester! Spinner! Designed to look like a tractor, which it sort of pulls off. The front mulcher will help turn their opponents into metal compost, and the rear spikes to add additional protection. But the big exposed wheels offer a ground clearance which can be taken advantage of, and each wheel has their own drive chain, which are equally exposed. Forced Lifter! A big, long lifting arm that doesn't actually run off CO2. How odd. The lifting arm can also double as an axe, attacking anyone from the rear, and it has a low wedge. But the sides are exposed, as well as the wheels.
Robot ears, stand by.
The 18 seeds Hydra with the powerful flipper. Harvester, a surprise for the wild card in the last wars with the mulcher and the rear spikes. And Forced with the lifting arm that can also double as an axe for the rear.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
The one thing I will say about this series of Robot Wars, the machines have been absolutely brilliant, as Harvester's thrown up through the air by Hydra and now gets flipped over by Forced, who gets flipped in turn by Hydra. Hydra throwing him up and over again, and this time at the arena! And that's the end of Forced. They're immediately into the Bronze Rumble. Here's Hydra now, pushing away at Harvester, and throws them out. And that's probably Hydra's quickest victory ever. Very quick and easy, as Force goes into the bronze, Harvester into the silver, and Hydra through to the gold. And I don't think Hydra were wasting any time, really. Out goes Forced first, then out goes Harvester, and Hydra, they easily go through. So it's Harvester into the silver rumble, Force into the bronze. Near how all three rumbles look. Hydra, seed number 18, will be taking on Rosie the Riveter and Hivemind, the newcomers, in the Gold Rumble. The Silver Rumble consists of our second seeds, Angui, taking on Supernova and Harvester. But first up, the Bronze Rumble with Overkill, Hammerhead 2, and the unique flipper axe of Forced.
Robot ears, stand by.
The final Bronze Rumble of the series with Overkill, the swinging blade, Hammerhead 2 with the rear flipping tail. And Forced with the strong lifting arm.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Who will come out on top? Well, Hammerhead 2, a quicker moving machine, and the harder hitting as Forced comes in to try and lift and, well, lift Overkill, and does so. Overkill doing a bit of a wheelie, and now up and over as Force gets stuck in the angle grinder. What can Overkill do? I'm not sure. Hammerhead 2 slams into Force again as Overkill, I think, tries to right themselves using Force as a sort of ramp. Speaking of, well, down goes the pit. So, now what? Well, look at this! Overkill pushing Forced into the wall. Hammerhead 2 gives a follow-up attack. Overkill now righted. Forced in a spot of bother. Can Forced get away? Well, I'd assume they'd be trying, but they're not, and I'm wondering if there's a problem with Forced. Overkill slamming Hammerhead into the wall. That's great. Well done, Overkill. Forced. Their arm works, but I don't think the drive is. I think Forced's immobilized. I'm not sure what happened to Forced, but they're not moving. Hammerhead 2 pushing away at Overkill. No, Overkill pushing away at Hammerhead 2. Trying to push them towards the pit, and now Hammerhead 2 pushing back over the flames. Can Hammerhead 2 get away? Yes! Overkill not moving, and have they suffered the same problem? I think, what's happened here?
Cease.
Well, cease is called. Forced, they're immobilized. Overkill, they're not moving. I think they are immobilized. Hammerhead 2, they're through. How's that for a turn up? Hammerhead 2, the last spot standing. Overkill, I think they broke down the same as Forced. And that's honestly such a shame to see both of them break down like that. Really, it's actually a real shame to see them break down like that, but that's what's happened. Hammerhead 2, they go through to the Death or Glory. And now for the Silver Rumble, with second seeds Angry taking on Supernova and Harvester.
Roboteers, stand by.
The Silver Rumble with the second seeds Angry here, surprisingly, with the CO2 flipper. Supernova with the flywheel. And Harvester with the mulcher and the rear spikes.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Can Angry come back from this, I wonder? Well, they've slammed into the mulcher of Harvester with no real damage. Harvester driving up the front of Supernova, surprisingly. And that's where the flywheel can do some damage to knock out those big, juicy wheels. But to no real success. Well, it's done a bit of damage to one of them. A small one, though, as the camera once again glitches. I'm really hoping we get that sorted in the next series. Meanwhile, Harvester flipped up and over, and there's a problem with Supernova. They're not moving, and then a flip from Angry. And out goes Supernova. Look at this, a great charge there. And I think the flywheel's what carried them over as they crashed out the arena. Supernova is gone. And, oh, Harvester's gone as well. Not wasting any time there, Angry. Underneath and out you go.
Cease.
And Angry going through to the Death or Glory in relatively dominant fashion. Well done, the runners-up. And honestly, I think if Supernova had properly worked, then that probably wouldn't be the case. Sadly, that's not what happened. Supernova broke down very early, And then Harvester got thrown at the arena because they simply weren't paying attention. Angry, they go through to join Hammerhead 2 in the Death or Glory. And now it's time for the Gold Rumble between the newcomers Hive Mind, along with our two veterans, Rosie the Riveter and Hydra.
Roboteers, stand by.
How's this for the Gold Rumble? Hive Mind, the newcomers with the spinning bar blade and the self-righting mechanism. Rosie the Riveter 2 with the ramming power and the little circular sword. Don't think it does anything. I'm that lucky to be here, actually, I think. And Hydra with the powerful flipper. Definitely very dominant.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
And also have the better success record as Hydra gets underneath Hive Mind, but Hive Mind doing damage to Rosie the Riveter, and Rosie flung into the air, and Hive Mind coming in and can get a good attack on the rear of Hydra. Hydra now flipping Hive Mind, and again Rosie trying to get involved. Something's come off. Rosie pushing away at Hydra. Hive Mind doing serious damage, and part of Rosie's wheel's gone. Hydra now pushing Hive Mind. They almost look identical, the two, don't they? Hive Mind and Hydra. Like they could have been a successor to each other. Meanwhile, Hydra throws out Rosie the Riveter, so they're gone. They're into the Death or Glory. So it's just between Hydra and the Hive Mind. And Hydra, so far, could very much be going through the pits, going down. And Hydra's still pressurizing Hive Mind. With a little bit of smoke I saw earlier as well, I wonder. I am not overly sure. But Hydra underneath Hive Mind. Hive Mind now free to get the blade into action and do some damage. And now could strike the backside. And I think now the drive of Hydra is compromised. I think one entire side's gone, which is definitely a problem. But Hydra still trying to take advantage and use that to get underneath Hive Mind, which they can do. Another whack to the side. And I'm wondering if the tides have now turned with Hydra on the back foot as Hive Mind comes in to rip into them. Hydra underneath again. The self-righting bars of Hive Mind protects them. Can Hive Mind now get free? Are they stuck on Hydra, I wonder? Hydra backs off, so Hive Mind can now get free, but Hydra, they're not moving away, and that's allowing Hive Mind to come in and deal damage to the rear end of Hydra. And I do believe this is where Hydra falls. I don't know why we're going to that camera. There's no real need to. We can't see anything. You can barely see anything from here, to be honest, but it's enough as Hive Mind batters and tears apart Hydra. Stand into the wall. Another charge, and now Hydra, out they go! Out the arena! Courtesy of the blade of Hive Mind! Out they go! This was the attack! Up into the air, balancing on the wall until finally falling down. And it's Hydra falling into the Death or Glory, while Hive Mind, the newcomers I might add, progress through to the Heat Final. Another impressive run by a newcomer making the Heat Final. And which machine will join them from our Death or Glory? Will it be Hammerhead 2 from the Bronze Rumble? Will it be the second seed Angui from the Silver Rumble? Or will it be the two machines that just fell in the Gold Rumble, Rosie the Riveter and Hydra? Let's find out.
Robot ears, stand by.
An interesting Death or Glory this should be, with Hammerhead 2, the newcomers, the rear flipping tail. Second seeds Angui, surprised they're here, with their CO2 flipper. Another CO2 flipper in the form of Hydra. And Rosie the Riveter, the Rambot, with a low wedge and the little circular saw.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Not exactly what I expected from Angui. For them to be here, they could come back, as they've already thrown Hammerhead 2 and have now thrown Rosie, who's now wrapped up and have righted themselves, and are now in trouble from Hydra as they're flipping them up and over, and are now— oh! What's that? Rosie! What have you done, Rosie? You're in the pits! Okay. Well, that's all from here, really. Into the pit release button, nearly had Angui out the arena. Rosie's driven over it, and Hammerhead's given him a little nudge, and down you go. Ooh! And now, Angui, they're in trouble here, and could very much go out the arena. Hydra flipping Hammerhead 2. And can easily do that. There's a huge ground clearance to get underneath Hammerhead 2 and throw them up and over. Angui seems confused. And are in the pit. The second siege, well, the second siege crashed out in the Death or Glory stage of the Last Wars 2, and they've done it again here, and Hydra's now driven into the pit. Angui's like, no, get out. Oh, now Hammerhead 2's in there. Coming out. I don't know how to describe this Death or Glory other than Hydra. I don't know what's going on. They're all playing silly buggers near the pit. Hammerhead 2 in the pit again, but now Hydra well and truly stuck in the pit, and there's no coming out this time. And how about that? Hammerhead 2 surprisingly heading through to the Heat Final, meaning our Heat Final for this series will be an all-newcomer affair. And we've not had a Heat Final that was an all-newcomer affair since Series 2 in the first Heat between Wheels and Siege. But here we go, our Heat Final for Heat 16 of Series 3. Hive Mind and Hammerhead 2. Which one of these newcomers will take that final spot in the Series 3 Series semifinals?
Robot ears, stand by.
An all-newcomer affair with Hive Mind on the spinning blade. Very, very impressive, by the way. And Hammerhead 2 with the rear CO2 flipping tail. I think lucky to have gotten here after the debacle with Hydra in the Death or Glory. An all-newcomer affair. This is something, truth be told, I was wondering if ever would happen. I did wonder if we would actually get a newcomer in the series semifinals. I'd actually hope we would at least get one, and we will get one, between Hive Mind and Hammerhead 2, who's pushing Hive Mind into the wall. And that's the one thing Hammerhead 2 has over Hive Mind, pushing power. And now something's come off of Hammerhead 2. Is that major, that superficial damage? I think probably just a bit superficial. And now that probably wasn't. Off comes one of the hammer fins on the side But how is that gonna do for Hammerhead 2, I wonder? Well, Hive Mind can now fling them into the air and have done so, and off comes a tyre! A tyre's been dislodged from a wheel, and that will affect the drive for Hammerhead 2. Another piece goes flying off as they go flying through the air, and again, and up the arena! That's it! That's the end of Hammerhead 2! Hive Mind through to the series semi-finals. Look at this! They clipped the hammer fin on the side! And over the wall and out! That's the end of Hammerhead 2! Well done, Hive Mind! They are our first and only newcomer to make the series semi-finals in brutal fashion. What an amazing heat final, and our first and only newcomers to reach the series semi-finals. Well done to Hive Mind, and we look forward to seeing how far you go. But until then, take care, and I'll see you next time. Farewell.